Truth in History with Charles A. Jennings.
Welcome to Truth in History. Today I would like to talk about the Judah-Jewish connection. That may sound a little strange, but recently I made 4 lessons concerning are the Jews, the modern day Jews, Judah. And some have had a question concerning, well, what about the connection between true Judah and false Jews? True Judah and false Jews. What is the connection? Where do they meet? And how can we explain that from the Bible? So I'm going to try to do that today, and we must take this Bible that we have, that God has given us. And there's a lot in this Bible. There's personal salvation, which I believe and I teach. There's a personal walk with Christ. There's belief, confidence, there's redemption, there's hope, there's resurrection, there's water baptism, there's spirit life, there's victorious life for the believer, and many, many things. But it also deals with the national things. And oftentimes in the modern church, the hard things are not mentioned. The hard things are pushed aside because they can become offensive, insulting. Some of the hard things in the Bible are very divisive because you can lose friends when you talk about some of the hard things in Scripture. You can lose money. You can lose church position. You can lose your ministerial license. I've been down that road. And you can lose a lot of things. So I'm sure that a lot of pastors take the attitude, why rock the boat? But something has to explain the world in which we live. And the Bible is the best source to explain that. It's the best source of information. And we look around us right here in this country of the U.S. and we ask the question, who is ruling over us? Who is really our rulers? Who are the elite that we hear so much about? Where did they come from? Where did they get their authority? I think the Bible will tell us. So we're going to start in the book of Genesis chapter 38. And I pray that this will be a clarification if anyone has a question as to the true Judahite and the false Jews, or the false Judahites. So I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible. Genesis 38, where did the confusion start? This is where it started. It started with disobedience of the law of God. It started with the disobedience of God's law. Genesis 38, verse 1. And it came to pass at that time that Judah, that single man, the son of Jacob, went down from his brethren and turned in to a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. In other words, he had sexual relations with her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. So Er's out of the picture. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. So Onan's out of the picture. So there's one son that's left, a mixed breed between an Israelite, his father being Judah, and his mother being a Canaanite. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown, for he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went in and dwelt in her father's house. Now the King James refers to Tamar as daughter-in-law. Really, the two boys had died, and Onan. So she is an ex-daughter-in-law. She's no longer a daughter-in-law because that relationship had been broken through the death of the two sons. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira, the Adulamite. Now we all know the story how Tamar waited on this son for she could marry him. And she got tired of waiting. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her. Say she was a widow. And covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. And she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. Shelah was grown, this third mixed blood Judahite, Canaanite boy, but Tamar was not given to him as a wife. So she deceived Judah, and Judah bare two sons by Tamar, his ex-daughter-in-law. And this daughter-in-law was a Shemite, according to the book of Jasher. So I'm going to end it there because we're dealing strictly with this mixed seed of Shelah being of Israelite or Judahite and Canaanite. Now, also we see in Genesis 46:12. 46:12. I'm going to try to follow the history of this boy Shelah. 46:12. Now, when Jacob went down to Egypt, you see, there was a span of time between when Judah went down to the Canaanite woman, and now the whole family of Jacob is going down to Egypt. Where is Shelah? 46:12 of Genesis. And the sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, Pharez and Zerah, but and Onan died in the land of Canaan, and the sons of Pharez were Hernan and Hamul. So here we have Shelah going down with, I say down, over to Egypt with the whole family of Jacob. So you've got Jacob, you've got his 12 sons, you've got their wives, their children, and you've got this mixed blood, Shelah. He's still living. So in the chronology of this boy, we come to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 38. Genesis 12:38. Or, Exodus 12:38. Exodus 12:38. When in the land of Egypt, Shelah lived there just like the other children. Just like Zerah and Pharez and the other children of Israel. And somehow there was a mixture. And I think I can safely say, and this is what I believe, that this Shelah, already of mixed blood, he had to marry somebody. Exodus 12:38, the children of Israel was coming out of Egypt in what we call the Exodus, and a mixed multitude went up also with them. Mixed multitude, a multitude of people of mixed blood. I believe we can safely interpret that as a people of mixed blood. Because definitely Shelah was there in Egypt with the other Israelites. So as the story progresses, Israel is now out in the wilderness, 40 days and 40 nights. And when we come to Numbers chapter 11, Numbers chapter 11, and we begin with verse number 4, it says, "And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting." We still have this mixed multitude. Now, our presupposition is Shelah was definitely mixed. Well, when it says mixed multitude, what else could it refer to other than the descendants of Shelah and those that were mixed blood in with his family? "And the children of Israel also wept again and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, garlic. And now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes." And it was the mixed multitude that started the complaining. It was the mixed multitude that complained against Moses. It was the mixed multitude that incited the rest of Israel to start complaining about their provisions of food in the wilderness. When we come to Numbers chapter 26 and verse 20. Verse 19, the sons of Judah were Ur and Onan. Ur and Onan died in the land of Canaan. So they're out of the picture. And the sons of Judah after their families were of Shelah, the family of the Shelonites. So the Shelonites are still with Israel in the numbering of Israel when they crossed over into the land of Canaan. So now they're back in the land of Canaan. And they have their Passover and the encampment in Numbers chapter 2, etc. Shelaites were there. The mixed multitude, the mixed blood multitude of people were there. Now, as the history of Israel progressed, we come to the book of 1 Chronicles. 1 Chronicles chapter 2. 1 Chronicles chapter 2 and verse number 3. Verse number 1. These are the sons of Israel: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, Asher. Verse 3. The sons of Judah: Ur and Onan and Shelah, which three were born unto him of the daughters of Shua the Canaanite. And Ur, the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him. And Tamar, his daughter-in-law, bare him Pharez and Zerah, all the sons of Judah. The sons of Pharez, Hezron, Hemo, and the sons of Zerah, etc. Now, it tells us that many years after the Exodus, when Israel was in the wilderness, that Shelah and his descendants were still there. No doubt Shelah himself was dead, but the Shelaites were there, still there. So when we come to 1 Chronicles 4 and 21, it says, the sons of Shelah, the son of Judah, were Ur, the father of Lekah, and Laada, the father of Marashah, and the families of the house of them that wrought fine linen. They were in the garment industry. The Shelaites went into the garment industry. Verse 22, and Jocham and the men of Chozeba and Joash and Seraph, who had the dominion in Moab, and Jashubilehem, these are the ancient things. These were the potters and those that dwelt among plants and hedges. There they dwelt with the king for his work. So we're talking about the days of David. We're talking about the days of King David. And the Shilaites were very industrious people. They got into linen work, making money, very prosperous in the garment industry, I'm going to call it. And then they became the potters that dwelt among the plants and hedges. Somehow there was an industry, however you may want to interpret that, but the king apparently had hired them. There they dwelt with the king for his work. So they somehow climbed to the top. This mixed blood people of Shilaites somehow rose to the top and were employed by the king. Does that tell you anything? It tells me a lot. Prosperous, made money, and rose to the top in the nation. And the Bible tells us that there was, even in the days of, when they began to cross over, well, not cross over, but being taken over by Nebuchadnezzar, that they were still in the land. So the Bible can trace them right up to the time when the Babylonian captivity was taking place. And the mixed multitude term is used concerning the people coming out of Egypt. But when we read the Bible through and follow in a chronological manner, we see in the days of Jeremiah a group of people called bad figs. This is Jeremiah 24 and Jeremiah 28. So, who were these bad figs? Now, the Judahites, or the nation of Judah at that time, was designated or known by, symbolized by the fig tree. And these bad figs were people. And then there were good figs. Don't you think that these bad figs were the Shilaites, the mixed multitude that were causing trouble? They were successful in the land, but they lived among the true Judahites, the pure blood sons of Judah, and Pharez and his brother Zerah through Tamar. So we've got this problem of a mixed multitude always among the Israelites. And this mixed multitude, Jeremiah talks about it, and he calls them strangers. They were there in the land. And I believe he refers to them in chapter 2, in verse 25. when he's describing the hopelessness of Judah. Says, I have loved strangers, and after them will I go. And the Lord said to Judah, through the prophet Jeremiah, yet I had planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? And they survived the Babylonian captivity. And when we go to the book of Nehemiah, when we go to Nehemiah, chapter number 13, and verse number 1, this is immediately after the 70-year Babylonian captivity, and now a whole bunch of the people are back in Jerusalem. So from the land of Canaan, when Judah first disobeyed the law of God by mixing his blood with the Canaanite, that's hundreds of years to the time of the Babylonian captivity. And then 70 more years. And these mixed blood people are still living among the Israelites. Nehemiah 13. On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God forever, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them, howbeit God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. The implication of these three verses is quite clear, that the mixed multitude had to be those of not pure Israelite blood, because the verse 1 mentions Ammonites and Moabites. So they had mixed in with Israel. And it's called a mixed multitude. So it's the same phrase that was used earlier in the book of Exodus. So we come to the book of Hosea. Hosea is that prophet that is post-exilic. And in chapter 7, he says this: Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Then he mentioned strangers have devoured his strength. So we have this mixture of not only Canaanites through Shelah, but Nehemiah mentioned the Ammonite, the Moabite, and Hosea mentions that Ephraim committed the same sin. He hath mixed himself among the heathen. He's like a cake not turned. Strangers have devoured his strength. There was an element in there within Israel that was very successful. We saw that from the Shelahites. And they rose to the top in commercial trade, etc., and work with the king. So they were, no doubt, had government contracts. That's the way we would put it today. Government contracts, making money, but they were mixed. They weren't real, true Israelites. And here we go, as late as post-exilic times, when Hosea is describing some of the people of Ephraim and as being mixed. Now, in the book of Esther, we see where it was stated very plainly, it gives us the source of where these mixed people came in. More mixed people, I should say. Esther 8:17, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. In other words, this land, this empire of Persia was very large. It had all these provinces. And the phrase here, and many of the people of the land, there's no telling who they were, came in and they became Jews. They identified themselves as Judahites. But if I can put it this way, here's true Judahites over here on my right. True Judahites, pure blood all the way from the son of Jacob himself, Judah. And then here's those that call themselves Judahites over here on my left. Two different people, but under the same roof of the nation of Judah. And you see, there's true Judahites, false Judahites, and then there's the nation of Judah, that political body politic, that governmental structure called Judah. So both people are within the same nation. So when Jesus came along, he knew which was which. And you see, in 125 BC, John Hyrcanus, he went over to Edom. And John Hyrcanus was from a priestly family in Judah. And he was a military man, and he went over to Edom, or Idumea, just south and east of Jerusalem on the east side of the Jordan River. And he forced the Edomites to accept Judaism and forced the men to be circumcised. So they became Judahites, but they're over here on the left. They're false Judahites. I hesitate to say false Jews, but that term could be used, but they were false Judahites. True Judahites were over here. So when John the Baptist, when he came preaching in the wilderness, what did he say? He said, Matthew records, that they came out of Jerusalem to be baptized of this new preacher that come along called John the Baptist. Then went out to him Jerusalem and all Judea and the region round about Jordan, and were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins. And when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he refused to baptize them. He said, O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come? So he knew that there were false Judahites over here on the left. Now, he did baptize some people because verse 6 says they were baptized of him, confessing their sins. So he knew the difference. The true Judahites he baptized. The false Judahites he didn't baptize. Because these Pharisees had risen to the top. No doubt they were part Edomite or part Shilahite, or the blood of Ammon and Moab was still alive in the land. And John the Baptist refused to baptize them. Well, what about in the ministry of Jesus? In John chapter 5, we read these words. John 5, verse 16. And therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. They hated him, accused him of violating the Sabbath. But Jesus answered, My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Jews sought to kill him the more, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. Now, that goes along with John chapter 8. John chapter 8, taking the Bible for what it says. When we read this book of John chapter 8, it's pretty harsh. And I heard one educated professor years ago tried to explain it away. That some of these people were just unbelievers, and that was it. You know, they just didn't believe. And therefore Jesus called them children of the devil. Well, does that make every sinner that exists today that has not accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior a child of the devil? They may be a child of sin, a servant of sin, but they're not children of the devil with the same level as these people in John chapter 8. So let's start reading in John 8:33. They answered him, We be Abraham's seed. We were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be free? Jesus answered them, Verily I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. Then he makes a confession. I know that ye are Abraham's seed. But Abraham had a lot of seeds. but ye seek to kill me because my word hath no place in you. So he said, you're Abraham's seed, but he goes on to describe these false Judahites by their characteristics. He was identifying them by 10 different characteristics. And he says in verse 37, this is number 1. You seek to kill me because my word hath no place in you. My word does not lodge in you. It does not take root in you. The words that I speak, they're not meant for you. I think that's what he was saying. But yet you're Abraham's seed. How were they Abraham's seed? If they were Edomites, they were of mixed blood through Esau. And Esau was a grandson of Abraham. So they're part of Abraham's seed, but not covenant seed. Number 2, he said, ye seek to kill me. You seek to kill me. Is there a place in the Bible where somebody killed Jesus? And Jesus told Pilate, he said, you have to judge me. That's your job. But I know who delivered me unto you. It was the Pharisees. It was these false Judahites that delivered me unto you. So here's 2 characteristics in verse 37. You seek to kill me, and my word hath no place in you. Verse 38, I speak that which I have seen with my father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father, Esau. Selling, what did Esau do? He sold his birthright. He was a vile person. And he went off and married strange women, Ishmaelites, Canaanite, and was a grief to his parents. Verse 39, they answered and said, Abraham is our father. Jesus said unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. Oh, they were Abraham's children through Isaac. But he said, if you were really of Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. Abraham, it says, believed God, and it was accounted unto him for righteousness. They might have had Abrahamic seed in them through Esau, but they really were not of Abraham's seed in faith and belief and covenant. So you see this Judah-Jewish connection right in there. They're connected. One is true, the other one is false. Let's move on. They do not the works of their father Abraham. Verse 40, but now ye seek to kill me, a man that have told you the truth, which I have heard of God. This did not Abraham. Verse 41, ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God. Jesus said unto them, if God were your Father, ye would love me. They did not love Jesus. So now we're seeing the difference between true Judahites and false Judahites. The false Judahites do not love Jesus Christ. For I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. If God were your Father, ye would love me. They did not love him. Number 6. Why do ye not understand my speech, even because ye cannot hear my word? You do not have the capability to hear my word. Why do you not understand my speech? It's not in you. It was not in Esau to hear the words of faith and belief and covenant like his grandfather Abraham. But all that was placed in Jacob. So Jesus is telling this crowd of Pharisees, why do you not understand what I'm saying? Because you cannot hear my word. It doesn't bring any light to you. You don't respond to it, except in hate and a desire to kill Jesus Christ. Number 7, verse 44, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust, the desires of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. He abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Two main characteristics of false Judahites over here on the left: murder and deceit, lying. Murder. Who murdered Jesus Christ? 2 and 2 still makes 4. Number 8, and because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. The very act of me telling you truth upsets you, and you do not believe. Now that still fits a crowd of people living today. Yes, it does. That still fits a crowd of people. All 10 of these characteristics fits a crowd that's still living today. Because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. Which of you convinces me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of God heareth God's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. So the last two characteristics listed in this passage: you hear not God's word because you're not of God. You're not sent from God. You're outside of the covenant of God. Now, that's Bible. He has to be talking about somebody. It's not just the common sinner, that lives a life of self-satisfaction. No, this is absolute rebellion in these people that cannot hear the words of God because they're not of God. So you've got the Judah and you've got the Jewish. I'm going to use that term Jewish now. Connection. But yet, they're far apart. Why is it that this had to happen in the tribe of Judah and not Gad or Asher or Naphtali? It's because of the covenant that was given to Judah, the tribe and the people of Judah. Genesis 49, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Rulership and authority and a conquering people. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Military power. And thy father's children shall bow down before thee. And the scepter was placed in Judah. Civil authority. Civil authority. The rightful civil authority was placed in Judah by covenant. And Jesus, being of the tribe of Judah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the supreme ruler, the governor among the nations, King of kings, Lord of lords. But the false Judahites are vying for that authority. They're vying for that authority. They're fighting for that authority. And they're doing it as posing as true Judahites, not true Gadites or Naphtalites or Simeonites, but as true Judahites. I hope you get the picture. So, the Bible tells us in Matthew 23 and verse 2. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. See, they don't belong there. They usurped their authority to sit in Moses' seat to tell people what to do, what not to do. And Jesus said, whatsoever they bid you, go ahead and do it. This was under the terms of the old law. That observe and do it, but do not ye after their works. For they say do it and they don't do it. They tell other people to do it, but they don't do it. You see, they somehow rise to the top in a culture or in a society and begin to take over and dictate what people should do and not do, to determine the mores or the morals or the moral standards of people, and to excuse and legalize and promote sin, debauchery, gaining government control, making laws to excuse debauchery, moral, immoral works, because they know that they can appeal to the sinful nature of people. Who promotes abortion and transgenderism and all that rest of the garbage that's in our culture and get it legalized? You know, last Sunday, known among the Christian world as Resurrection Day, which really Jesus didn't rise on Sunday, but regardless, in the traditional Christian world, it was known as Easter. And our president, the day before, had to proclaim that day as Transgender Visibility Day. And I know that it'd been going on ever since 2009. But he has to promote it. He has to make a big deal out of it. He has to make it visible in our culture and our society. What an affront to the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We've got a man there in the White House. They say he's doing the bids of his handlers. But it'd be good if he had at least 2 brain cells that are working. See, these false Judahites, now Jesus said that the 2 main characteristics of their father the devil was murder and lying. What does Revelation 2:9 say? I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, which say they are Judahites. Look up this word Jews in the Strong's. It's number 2453. It means belonging to Yehudah, belonging to Judah. So I'm going to read it this way. The blasphemy of them which say they belong to Yehudah or to Judah, and are not, but are over here on the left, the synagogue of Satan. 3:9, Revelation. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are of Yehudah or Judahite, over here on the right, and are not, but do lie. It's the false ones over here. And why in Judah? For rulership, for authority, to come in to a nation and to complain like they did in the wilderness, like Shilaites did. Complain about the food, the conditions. Then they got all Israel complaining against Moses. They said, we had it better in Egypt. Troublemakers. Troublemakers are the false Judahites. I pray that what I said in tracing the Shilaites plus Edomites, etc., the mixed multitude in Scripture, I hope it clarified some things for some people, because some are still confused. And they say, well, who are the true Judahites? Then they turn right around and say, well, the Jews, started a nation in 1948, and God's going to deal with them and save them and make a Jewish kingdom, and it's going to be great over there when they're converted to Christ. Well, that's fairy tale. I mean, you may as well believe in Bugs Bunny or some other fictitious character. May as well believe in the Sandman or the Tooth Fairy. We must take this Bible. See, one of the reasons why the church is in trouble and the Western world is in trouble and America is in trouble, and Canada and other Israelite nations, the reason why we cannot solve our problems is because the preachers have withheld truth that is contained in this book. They have withheld it in unrighteousness. They'll preach the easy parts. They'll even tell sinners, you've got to repent or you're going to hell. But they don't say anything about those that are destroying the earth. They don't say a word about those that Jesus Christ is coming to destroy. And that's the tares among the wheat. And apparently the tares and the wheat look very close together, go by the same name, but their nature is totally different. If you've never received a magazine from this ministry, we will be more than happy to send you one and put you on the list. It's a free subscription. So I pray that what I have said today is very helpful to someone that may be struggling over this Judahite, Jewish connection. But we want to worship, and we do worship the one whose right it is to reign, of the tribe of Judah, Shiloh, Jesus the Christ, the governor among the nations. He and He alone is our salvation, our hope. He is our prophet, our priest, and our coming King. God bless you. Until next time.